Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Ryan here. Today, we are going to be talking about addition and subtraction, and we're going to be doing a little bit of review of what we know and how we can solve addition and subtraction problems. So looking at this screen, let's first look. It says we add when we want to find the total or the sum of a group of two or more numbers. So looking at this story problem right here that we have, it says Miguel has 14 books. Jose has 23 books. How many books do they have all together? So using my problem solving strategies, I know I have to look at the question first. I know my question is about books. I know that it's asking me how many they have all together. I know that when I put things together, I need to add them. I'm finding the sum or the total of the books. My information that I have, Miguel has 14 books. Jose has 23 books. So I can look over here. This question is asking us to add Miguel's books and Jose's books together so that we can find out how many books there are all together. So the first addend, 23. An addend is one of the numbers in a number sentence where we are finding the total. So 23 represents the number of books that Jose has, and then we can add together the number of books that Miguel has. That's our other addend. So when we add those two things together, the sum of those two is 37. So remember, boys and girls, the sum, S-U-M, is the answer to an addition problem. So you'll notice that we wrote this problem as a number sentence or as an equation. It's an equation because that's that equal sign right there. So there are other ways for us to also solve and find the answer to this problem. One of the things we could have done is we could have stacked these two numbers one on top of the other and then added using the place value, which is what we're going to look at very soon. We could look at just the ones place here and decompose this number and say, well, there's 3 ones plus 4 more ones is a total of 7 ones. And then we could look at the tens place. I have 2 tens plus 1 more 10 is 3 tens. For a total of 37. So those are some strategies that you've learned in previous grade levels, and we're going to continue to look at these just a little bit. So let's go on, because today what I really want us to focus on is something called the standard algorithm. The standard algorithm. I love the word algorithm. It sounds so smart and so math smart, but it's not that confusing really if you know what it means. An algorithm, boys and girls, is just the process or the steps or the way that you do something or the way that you do the math in this case. And since we're saying it is the standard algorithm, well, standard, that's just another word that means the way you might usually see it or the way we see it most frequently done. It's the usual way. They call it the standard way. So, to make us sound like smart math brainiacs, we can use this math language, standard algorithm. It's just the steps. And Ms. Ryan, I wrote the steps here on the side just to help us remember what we need to do. But I also want us to remember that sometimes we have to do things called regrouping. And regrouping means when we add numbers together that are bigger than 10 or bigger than 100, we have to make sure we regroup that value into the correct place value. So remember, for our place value, our ones place, all the digits 0 to 9. But if we get to 10, then we have to group it or regroup it to the tens place and put that value in the tens place. And the same thing, if we add up our tens and we have more than 10 tens, we have to move it to the hundreds place. So we're going to go through these steps. So this is what we are going to be focusing on today, doing standard algorithm for addition and subtraction. So let's look at our steps. If you're not sure what to do, you could come back and look at this page. So it says step 1, add the ones place, regroup if needed. Well, I'm going to go to my ones place. I have a 7 plus 7. Well, I know that 7 plus 7 is 14, but I would not write 14 right here like this. I wouldn't write it like that. I can't do that. Okay. I have to regroup. I have to regroup that 14. So 14 is made up of 4 ones. See, Miss Ryan made her pen just a little bit smaller, and one group of 10. 14 is 10 plus 4 is 14. So this is what we regrouped. I have to make sure if it's a group of 10, I'm putting it in the tens place. Okay, the second step says to add the tens place, including any tens that were regrouped from the ones place. And look, we regrouped a 10. We have to make sure we add it when we add this column in our place value of tens. And if we need to, we regroup to the hundred. So if we add up our tens and we have 100 or more tens, we have to regroup that to the hundreds place. So here's my next step. I'm adding my tens place. I have one group of 10, and I always like to start with whatever I regrouped, because if I don't start with the 10 that I regrouped when I added the ones place, I almost always forget to add it, and then I get the problem wrong. Don't let that happen to you, boys and girls. All right, so I have 1 10 plus 3 more, that's 4 tens, which is a value of 40. 4 tens is 40. And then I'm going to add on 4 more. So I know that 4 plus 4 is 8. So I have a total of 8 tens, which is a value of 80. So far I have 84. I didn't have anything to regroup to the hundreds place in this example. But I do still need to add, because I have 200 plus 500. That is 700. So the sum of this problem is 784. So if you look back over here at our steps, we did step 3. It said add the hundreds place, including hundreds regrouped from the tens place. We didn't have any in this example. And then if we have to, after we've added, we would regroup to the thousands place if we needed to. And notice I don't have the thousands written here. That's okay. It doesn't have to be written there. But I know that that's the next place value of my numbers. Okay, boys and girls, so now let's review our minds about subtraction. So we're going to do this again. When we subtract when we want to find the difference, or how many more or less that you have. So for this example, we're going to use Miguel and Jose again. Miguel has 14 books. Jose has 23 books. How many more books has Jose than Miguel? Now, one of the things that I tell my class is to pay attention to this phrase that says, how many more than? How many more blank than blank? When you have this phrase in a question, you are comparing how two things are different. And notice we have difference right here. Difference is subtraction, the answer to a subtraction problem. So that helps you know, I've got to subtract, don't I? I can tell by looking at my numbers that Jose has 23 books and Miguel has 14 books. Jose has more books than Miguel. We just have to find what is the difference. How many more does Jose have than Miguel? So if you look down, we wrote a number sentence again. So we would have Jose first, 23, because Jose has the most. We can't take Miguel's number from Jose's number because he doesn't have enough to take 23 away from 14. Remember, so for subtraction, your biggest number will always, always, always come first. Oh, you know what? Miss Ryan forgot to say this. Look. So this question, remember, is asking us to find the difference between Jose and Miguel's books. Miss Ryan almost forgot to tell you that. I think I did, though. Okay, so Jose, 23 minus 14 equals a difference of 9. And remember, difference means the answer to a subtraction problem. When you hear that word, how are things different when we're comparing things? And I know you use that word when you have to describe how a character is different than another character in a story. And so sometimes you want to say, well, I can tell that 23 and 14 are different because 23 is bigger than 14. Or I could say 14 is less than 23. That's how they're different. And those are true statements. But what they're wanting you to do is to solve the amount, how much they're different. And then we've got our subtraction symbol right there. All right, so let's go on to our next slide. Okay, so let's practice a little bit again, our standard algorithm. Remember, standard just means the usual way we do it. And the standard algorithm is the steps in the process. And what we're doing is we're stacking the numbers on top of each other using our place value system. And it's really important for you to make sure you line these up. The ones place are stacked on top of each other, one on top and one beneath. The tens place and the hundreds place. That's very, very important, boys and girls, that you're very, very careful and making sure you keep things in the correct place value column, whether you're doing addition or subtraction with this standard algorithm where we're stacking the numbers. All right, so for subtraction, one of the things that you have to make sure of is that your biggest number is on top. 945. It is larger than 656. So I know I wrote my problem the correct way. Now, here's something I see people do, the mistake they make a lot when it comes to subtraction. They start at the bottom down here in the ones place, and they look at this 6, and they say 6 minus 5. Boys and girls, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You must start at the top. This is the top. This is where you start, and you look down when you are subtracting. So one of the things I tell my kids, this little line down here, it's the floor. Let's just consider it's the floor of our equation, of our steps of our process. So do I have a number that's more on this floor, more than the top number? Yes. I have more on the floor. That's going to help me know what I need to do. So let's look at our steps. So step 1, subtract the ones place. Okay, so I've got to start with my ones place right here. And it says, is the top number bigger? Well, this time I have 5. The top number is a 5. The number on the floor is bigger than the top number. So it says, if it's yes, we're going to subtract and write the difference. But my top number, it's not bigger. So what do I do? No, it's not bigger. No. So I have to go next door and get 10 more. Remember, for place value, what's next door? It's the tens place. I can get a group of 10 from the tens place, and I can just sort of bring it back over here to the ones place. And so now I have the 10 from the tens place plus the 5 that was already there. So now I have 15 in the ones place. But how many 10s did I leave over here? If I took a 10 and I brought it to the ones place, I left 3 10s here. That's very important for you to remember. So you've got to make sure you do all of that labeling correctly and you do each step. So it says regroup the 10 to the ones place and then subtract. So here we have 15 ones now. So 15, take away 6. What is that? Is it 8? Let's try that, because that's what I'm thinking. But I know sometimes I make mistakes. So let me see if 8 plus 6. 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, you know what? That's not right. So what should it be? It should be 9. It should be 9. So one of the things I'm showing you, boys and girls, is as you're doing your problem, check your work. Stop and think about it. I can take whatever answer I think it is, and I can add back in what I subtracted to see if I get what I started. Because remember what you know already, that addition and subtraction are the opposites of each other. So if this is 9 plus 6, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes. Okay, I did that one right. So now what is step 2? What is the next problem? It says to subtract the tens place. So boys and girls, these next 2 steps, they're the exact same thing, just with a different place value. The tens place, we're going to do the same thing, and then the hundreds place, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to look, I have 3 tens. I have to take 5 away from that. Do I have more on the floor? A 5 is more than a 3. I cannot take a bigger number away from a smaller number. I have to go next door and get a group of 10 from my hundreds place. So I'm going to bring a 10 here. So now a 10 from the hundreds place. I have 13 tens now, and I'm going to leave 8 right there in my hundreds place. Okay, so I have 13 tens, take away 5, 13. Take away 5. What is that going to be? Oh, you're right. I think it's 7. Let's double check. What is 7 plus 5? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, no. But I'm so glad I checked my answer. So what is it, boys and girls? It is an 8, isn't it? All right, so one of the things, it's really important, check your work as you go. It's something that you can do. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 8 plus 5 is 13, so 13 minus 5 is 8. Good check for you. Because sometimes we forget our facts or we're rushing and we make silly mistakes. I don't want that to happen to you. All right, so now the last step, same thing, subtract the hundreds place. Is the top number bigger? Oh, I have an 8 on the top and a 6 on the bottom on the floor. So I do not need to go next door and get any tens from the thousands place. I have enough hundreds. Okay, so I have 800 minus 600 is 8 take away 6 is 2. And I know that because 2 plus 6 is 8. I checked my answer as I was working. Let's go to our next page. Okay, boys and girls, so we've practiced a little bit of addition and subtraction. We've looked at how to regroup. Your parents used to call that borrowing, but we call it regrouping now. Same thing. If your parents say borrowing, just very gently say, well, we don't use that anymore. We say regrouping, and just know it's the same thing that they're showing you, just a different word they're using. All right, so I wanted to show you this because your assignment that you're going to be doing for a grade is solving mixed problems. Solving mixed problems. So what I did is I grabbed a few just to show you kind of what your page might look like. You're actually going to have more problems than this on your page. But notice it says they're mixed problems. And I'm telling you, your assignment is going to be mixed problems. So there's something that I want you to make sure that you pay very, very close attention to, because they are going to be mixed up. You need to make sure when you are doing the math, don't rush through it. Pay attention to what this symbol is. So my first problem is a addition problem. it's an addition problem. So circle it, pay attention to it, then do your math. The next one, I'm looking at the next one. This is subtraction. It's 4 take away 2, not 4 plus 2. Okay, I need to make sure every time before I do the math, I am making sure, is it addition or is it subtraction? This next one, it's addition. But I'm going to caution you, I want you to do it as you're solving your problem. So as soon as you see this as addition, then you know you're adding. Finish all your adding, go to your next problem, look to see, it says, oh, that's the addition symbol. I know I have to add. 6 plus 4 is 10. I'm going to do my regrouping, and you're going to continue on. You're going to go to your next problem. That one is subtraction. It almost tricked me. I almost did 0 plus 4 and just put a 4 there. I can't do that. It's subtraction. And then I notice my next problem is addition. And the last problem is subtraction. So boys and girls, be very careful and mindful when you have problems that you're having to do when you're doing just a computation problem. We call this just computation. We're just practicing our regrouping with addition and subtraction, and your page is going to be full of mixed problems. So be very, very careful. Don't rush through. Make sure if you need to, go back and watch this video to look at the steps. Have a great day, Tigers.